She wasn't asking for help. She was begging not to die alone, and the man who heard her had sworn never to use a gun again until that moment. But what he saw in her eyes wasn't fear, it was recognition, as if she already knew he was coming. And when he finally understood who she was running from, he realized that protecting her meant betraying everything he once stood for. If you believe that some children can't wait for the law and should ask for help from whoever is closest to them, subscribe now and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Because I need to know who cares when it comes to a child in danger. The gas station was almost empty when she appeared, a girl of maybe 8 years old, barefoot, with a dress torn at the hem and dirt stains on her knees. She wasn't running. She walked slowly, looking back every 3 steps, as if she knew that being too fast attracts attention. Her eyes scanned the parking lot, searching for something, or someone. Marcus Reid was filling up the Silverado's tank when he saw her. He hadn't been a cop for 4 years. He didn't wear a badge. He didn't carry a gun. He'd given it all up the day they put his partner in a coffin because of a false anonymous tip. But the instinct was still there, and that instinct was screaming. The girl stopped 3 meters from him. She didn't speak. She just looked. Her lips trembled. Her hands, too small, gripped the hem of her dress as if it were the only solid thing in the world. Marcus lowered the gas pump slowly. He didn't want to scare her, but he also didn't want to ignore her. "Are you all right?" he asked. His voice came out deeper than he intended. She didn't answer. She just took another step, and then, in a whisper so low he almost didn't hear it, "He's coming after me." Marcus felt his stomach clench. "Who?" She didn't say anything, but her eyes filled with tears, and then she did something he never expected. She held his hand, squeezed it tightly, like someone clinging to a plank in the middle of the ocean. "Please," she said, her voice breaking, "don't leave me alone." It was at that moment that Marcus saw the car, a black Dodge, tinted windows, slowly pulling into the parking lot. The driver didn't turn off the engine, he just stopped and watched. The girl froze. Marcus felt her hand tremble in his, and then he made the decision that would change everything. "Get in the car," he said quietly and firmly. She obeyed without asking. Dodge didn't move, but Marcus knew this wasn't over. It had only just begun. Marcus drove for 20 minutes without saying a word. The girl was huddled in the passenger seat, her knees against her chest, her eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. She wasn't crying. She wasn't talking. She was just breathing, rapidly, shallowly, like someone who had just run for miles. He stopped at a roadside diner, an old place with flashing neon lights and the smell of burnt coffee. Few customers, no cameras in sight. Good enough. "Come," he said, and she followed him like a shadow. Inside, he ordered pancakes and orange juice. She didn't touch the food. She just looked out the window, her hands still trembling. Marcus waited. He knew that pressuring her wouldn't help. He'd seen this before. Broken children don't speak when forced. They speak when they feel they can. So he did the only thing he could. He stayed quiet and waited. It took 10 minutes. But finally she whispered, "My name is Lily." Marcus nodded. "Marcus." She bit her lip. "You were a police officer." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Marcus frowned. "How do you know?" "I saw," she said, and her eyes met his for the first time. Brown, deep-set, too old for a child. "You have that look. My uncle had it too." "He had?" She looked away. "He's dead." Marcus felt a tightening in his chest. "Who's chasing you, Lily?" She didn't answer right away. She just looked at her own hands. Small, bruised, with marks that looked like cigarette burns. "He said that if I told anyone, he would kill my sister." Her voice was so low that Marcus could barely hear it, but he did hear it. and each word was like a punch. "Who?" he asked, and his voice came out harsher than he intended. Lily looked up, and there was something in her eyes that Marcus couldn't name. Fear, yes, but also something deeper, something that felt like acceptance. "My father," she said, and at that moment, Marcus knew that he couldn't simply hand her over to the police, that I couldn't let her come back, that everything he had sworn he would never do again, he might need to do again. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He rented a room in a cheap motel, 2 beds, locked door. Lily fell asleep as soon as she lay down, but he stayed awake, sitting in the chair near the window, watching the parking lot. The black Dodge didn't appear, but that didn't mean anything. He knew men like Lily's father. He had arrested dozens of them, men who hurt in silence, who used fear as control, who knew exactly how to keep the violence invisible. And Marcus knew that, most of the time, the system failed. The children came back. The parents promised to change, and the cycle began again. But there was something else that bothered him. The way Lily looked at him in the diner, as if she knew him, as if she had been expecting him. At 3 in the morning she woke up screaming. Marcus was beside her in seconds. Lily trembled, her eyes wide, her hands gripping the sheets. "He's here," she whispered. "He found me." "There's no one here," Marcus said, firmly but gently. "You're safe." She shook her head. "You don't understand. He always finds me, always." Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. "Why did you run away today? What changed?" Lily stared at him, and then, her voice breaking, she said, "Because today he took my sister, and he said he was going to do to her what he did to me." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Marcus felt the anger rising, not the anger that explodes, the anger that freezes, the anger that plots. "Where is she?" he asked. "I don't know. He moved after I ran away last time, but I know where he works." Marcus took a deep breath. This was getting complicated. He wasn't a police officer anymore. He had no jurisdiction. He had no backup. But he had something the police didn't, the freedom to act outside the law, and contacts who never forgot who he was. "I'm going to find your sister," he said. Lily held his hand. "What if you can't?" Marcus looked into her eyes, and for the first time in 4 years, he felt something he thought he had lost: purpose. "I'll manage," he said. But deep down, he knew that this could cost everything. His name was Carson Blake. Marcus found that out within 2 hours. All it took was a call to an old acquaintance at the department. Carson worked at a construction depot out of town. History of domestic violence. 3 complaints filed against him. 2 ex-wives. 3 children. All removed from custody at some point but later returned. The system had failed him so many times that even Marcus couldn't count. But there was more to it. Carson wasn't working alone. He had connections. People who owed him favors. And according to Marcus's source, he was actively searching for his daughter. Angrily. Marcus parked 2 blocks from the warehouse. Lily was in the back seat, lying down, covered with a blanket. He had told her to be quiet, not to make a sound, not to move. She obeyed. The warehouse was a gray shed, surrounded by rusty containers and parked trucks. Marcus waited. He watched. He counted 6 men, all large, all with the same hard look. Carson was the tallest. Shaved head, tattoos on his neck, hands that looked made for breaking things. Then Marcus saw him do something that confirmed everything. Carson took out his cell phone and showed the screen to another man. Marcus couldn't see the image, but he saw the reaction. The other man nodded and pointed to a white van parked in the back. Marcus felt his blood run cold. Lily was right. His sister was there. But there was a problem. 6 men, One Marcus, no weapon, no plan, and if he made a mistake, the two girls would die. That's when he saw Harley, 3 motorcycles parked near the entrance, and on one of them, a sticker he recognized. The emblem of a club he knew. Iron Cross MC, a group of veterans, men who didn't tolerate cowards, and who had a simple rule. Children are sacred. Marcus picked up his cell phone. He dialed a number he hadn't used in years. The voice on the other end was hoarse. "Reid, I thought you were dead." "Almost," Marcus said. "I need a favor." "What kind?" "The kind that involves a son of a bitch hurting children." Silence on the other end. Then, "Address." Marcus gave his location and hung up. He got back in the car. Lily looked at him in the rearview mirror. "And now?" Marcus took a deep breath. "Now we wait." But he knew. The waiting was the most dangerous part. The engines arrived before sunset. 4 Harleys. A deep, metallic rumble that made the ground tremble. Marcus got out of the car and walked over to them. The leader was a man in his 50s with a grey beard, a leather vest with the Iron Cross emblem embroidered on the back. His name was Dutch. They had served together, not in the department, before, in Afghanistan. "Are you sure about that?" Dutch asked, his eyes fixed on the warehouse. "I do," Marcus said. "There's a girl in there, and another one in my car who won't survive if her sister dies." Dutch looked back. Lily was sitting on the bench, watching. Her eyes were swollen, but there was something about them that Dutch recognized. Determination. "Does she know what's going to happen?" Dutch asked. Marcus shook his head. "You don't need to know." Dutch scoffed. "You know what you're asking for, Reid. This isn't a ransom. It's an execution." "I know. And are you ready to live with that?" Marcus remained silent. He had asked himself this question 100 times in the last few hours, and the answer was always the same. No, he wasn't ready, but he was going to do it anyway. Yes, he lied. Dutch studied his face, then he nodded. "Okay, but there's a condition. You don't go in, you stay with the girl. We'll take care of the rest." Marcus was about to protest, but Dutch raised his hand. "You're not a cop anymore, Reid. You don't have to get your hands dirty. Leave this to us." And there was something in his voice that made it clear. This wasn't generosity. It was an order. Marcus looked at Lily. She was watching him, and he realized that she didn't need him to fight. She needed him to stay, to be the only solid thing when everything else fell apart. "Okay," he said. Dutch and the other 3 bikers got ready. No words, just rehearsed movements. Marcus went back to the car. Lily held his hand. "Are they going to hurt him?" Marcus didn't answer, but she saw the answer in his eyes. "Good," she whispered. And Marcus realized that she hadn't been a child for a long time. The sound of metal hitting flesh is not something you forget. Marcus heard everything from the car. The screams, the threats, the sound of something or someone falling, and then finally a silence that was worse than any sound. 5 minutes later, Dutch returned. He was carrying a little girl in his arms. She was smaller than Lily, maybe 6 years old. Dark hair, eyes closed, weak breathing. There was blood on her face, not hers, someone else's. Lily got out of the car before Marcus could stop her. "Emma!" she shouted and ran to Dutch. He slowly bent down, setting the girl on the ground. Lily hugged her, crying, whispering things Marcus couldn't hear. "She's alive," Dutch said. "But she needs a hospital, now." Marcus nodded and picked up his cell phone, but Dutch grabbed his wrist. "No police, no questions. Do you know any doctor who doesn't ask questions?" Marcus knew him. A veteran. He had a private clinic. He treated ex-military personnel, victims of domestic violence, people who couldn't go to regular hospitals. "I know him." "Then take her, and get rid of those girls." "And Carson?" Dutch didn't answer. He just stared at the warehouse, and Marcus understood. Carson was no longer a problem, but there was something else on Dutch's face, something Marcus couldn't decipher. Worry. What was it? Marcus asked. He wasn't alone. There were two other guys inside. And when we stormed in, one of them was on the phone. We couldn't get him in time. Marcus felt his stomach clench. Get what? I don't know. But he was talking to someone, and he mentioned your name. The silence that followed was heavy. Marcus looked at Lily and Emma, two girls who were finally together, but perhaps not for long. Who? Marcus asked. Who did he call? Dutch shook his head. I don't know. But whoever it is, now they know you're involved. And if you think this is over, Reid, you're very wrong. Marcus looked at the girls. Lily was holding Emma, singing softly, as if the whole world wasn't falling apart. And he noticed. Saving them had been the easy part. Keeping them alive would be the real test. Dr. Ray Corbin's office was in a forgotten neighborhood of Ashford, in a two-story house that had been a brothel in the 1970s. Now it was a sanctuary. Ray didn't ask questions, he didn't record names, and he didn't call the authorities. He had lost his medical license 15 years ago for operating on a wounded soldier without authorization. But he continued to operate. For those who needed it. For those who couldn't wait. Marcus knocked 3 times on the door. Ray opened it with a shotgun in his hand. When he saw Emma in Lily's arms, he lowered his weapon. Come in. He examined the girl in silence. Bruises, possibly broken ribs, severe dehydration, but nothing fatal. Ray worked quickly. Lily didn't leave Emma's side. She held her sister's hand the whole time. And when Ray finally said, "She's going to be okay," Lily collapsed, not in tears, in exhaustion, as if she had held the world for days and could finally let go. Marcus carried her to a sofa. She fell asleep in seconds. He covered them both with a blanket and went out into the hallway. Ray followed him. "You know this isn't over, right?" the doctor said, lighting a cigarette. "I know. Do these girls have families?" "Not that it's any good," Ray scoffed. "And you? Are you going to take responsibility for this?" Marcus didn't answer, because I didn't know the answer. That's when the cell phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was cold, controlled. "Marcus Reid." "Who is it?" "Someone you should have left alone." Marcus felt his whole body freeze. "What do you want?" "The girls. Back. Today." "It's not going to happen." Silence. Then, "You don't understand who you're messing with, Reid. Carson was a nobody. He was just an intermediary. And you just declared war on people much bigger than you." "Who are you?" The voice laughed, without humor, just contempt. "Find out. But in the meantime, know this. We don't forget, and we always get back what's ours." The call dropped. Marcus stood there, his phone still in his hand. Ray looked at him. "Problem? Big." Ray took a long drag. "You need help, and not the kind I can give." Marcus knew, and there was only one group that could. He picked up his cell phone again and called Dutch. "I need more than 4 men." "How many?" "All." Dutch remained silent. Then, "Okay, but you'll have to explain it to chapter and they won't like it." "I know. Midnight, clubhouse. And Reid, bring the girls. They need to see who's going to protect them." Marcus hung up. He went back into the room. Lily was awake, looking at him. "There are more people coming, right?" Marcus nodded. "Yes." She didn't seem surprised, just tired. "Okay, then let's get this over with." And Marcus realized that this 8-year-old girl was braver than most of the men he knew. The Iron Cross MC clubhouse was a metal shed on the outskirts of town, surrounded by barbed wire and motorcycles. Marcus arrived with the two girls shortly before midnight. Emma was weak, but awake. Lily held her hand, walking with her head held high, like a queen going to war. Inside there were 15 men, all wearing vests, all silent. Dutch was in the center, arms crossed, next to him an older man, perhaps 60 years old. White. Hair, face marked by scars. His name was Garrett, chapter president, and when he spoke, everyone listened. "So it's you," Garrett said, looking at Marcus. "The cop who turned ghost." Marcus didn't answer. He just stood there, the girls behind him. Garrett walked slowly toward them. He stopped in front of Lily. He studied her. "How old are you, girl?" "8, she said without hesitation. "And you're scared?" Lily shook her head. "Not from you?" Garrett smiled. It wasn't a kind smile, it was a smile of respect. He looked at Marcus. "Do you know what you're asking for? This isn't protection, it's war, and war costs. I'll pay." "With what? You have no money, you have no power, you have nothing." Marcus stepped forward. "I have these girls, and if you turn your backs on me now, you'll have to live knowing you let 2 children die. And I know none of you can live with that." The silence that followed was long, heavy. Then Garrett looked at Dutch. Something passed between them. A silent communication. Dutch nodded. Garrett turned back to Marcus. "Okay, we'll go in, but there's one condition. You stay here, with them. Don't go to the field. Don't fight. Just protect them." Marcus was about to protest, but Lily held his hand. "Please," she whispered, "stay." And he realized that she didn't need another dead hero. She needed someone alive. "Okay," he said. Garrett turned to the group. "Anyone against?" No one spoke, and Marcus knew that the war had officially begun. But what he didn't know was the price he would pay, until it was too late. The attack came 2 days later, not at the clubhouse, at Ray's office. They stormed in at 4 in the morning, 3 men, armed, silent. Ray didn't stand a chance. They found him dead in the operating room with 2 bullets in his chest. Clean execution, professional. Marcus received the call at 5 o'clock. When he arrived, the police were already there, and Dutch too. His face was gray. "They knew," Dutch said. "They knew exactly where you took the girls. Someone's tracking you, Reid." Marcus felt the ground disappear beneath him. Lily and Emma were in the clubhouse, safe, for now. But if someone was tracking him, then nobody was safe. "How?" Marcus asked. Dutch pointed to Marcus's car. "You have a tracker in your car. They put it on last night." Marcus looked and saw a small magnetic device attached under the bumper. Simple, effective, invisible until it's too late. "They know where I live. They know where I go. And now they know where the girls are." Dutch shook his head. "No. I removed the tracker before you got here, and I switched cars. But this won't last. They'll find it. It's only a matter of time." Marcus turned to him. "Then we'll end this. Now." "What?" "We don't even know who they are." "Then find out." Dutch remained silent. Then he picked up his cell phone and made a call. Marcus didn't hear the conversation, but he saw Dutch's expression change, from determination to something worse. Fear. When he hung up, Dutch looked at Marcus. "I know who they are, and you're not going to like it." "Who?" "Sullivan Corporation. They run a trafficking ring. Children, guns, drugs, everything. And Carson worked for them. Lily and Emma. They weren't just his daughters. They were merchandise." Marcus felt the world spin. "Merchandise? They sell children, Reid. To rich people, powerful people. And you just stole 2 of them." Marcus couldn't speak. He just stood there, trying to process it, trying to understand how something so monstrous could exist. "And there's more," Dutch continued. Sullivan has connections, politicians, judges, police officers. If we go after him, we'll be going against the entire system. Marcus looked at Dutch. So that's it? We give up? Dutch shook his head. No, we'll fight, but you have to be smart, and you have to be smart now. Marcus nodded, and then he heard a scream from across the street. He turned around and saw Lily running, alone, with 3 men chasing her. And Marcus realized that they had already lost. Marcus ran, faster than he had ever run before, but he wasn't fast enough. One of the men grabbed Lily by the waist. She screamed, kicked, bit, but he was too big, too strong. And when Marcus finally caught up, the man was already putting Lily into a van. Marcus pulled the door open. The man turned around, and Marcus saw his face. Young, tattoos on his neck, empty eyes, and something worse, recognition. You, the man said, and smiled. Sullivan is offering $20,000 for you, alive preferably, but dead will do too. Marcus didn't think. He just acted. He pulled the man out of the van and threw him to the ground. He punched him. Once, twice, 3 times, until Dutch pulled him away. That's enough, Reid. He's not worth it. Marcus stopped, breathing heavily. Lily was in the van, crying, but alive. He picked her up in his arms. It's okay. I'm here. They took her, Lily cried. They took Emma. Marcus's world stopped. What? While you were chasing after me, they stormed the clubhouse. They killed 2 of ours, and they took Emma. Marcus looked at Dutch and saw the confirmation. Dutch was holding the cell phone, blood on his hand, tears in his eyes. Garrett is dead, and Emma is gone. Marcus couldn't speak. He just held Lily and realized that he had failed, that everything he did wasn't enough. But then Lily looked at him and said something that changed everything. I know where they're going. Marcus stared at her. What? Because I've been there, before I ran away. It's where they keep the children, before selling them. Dutch approached. Where? Lily took a deep breath and gave an address, a farm, 60 kilometers to the north, isolated, surrounded, guarded. Marcus looked at Dutch. How many men do we have? 11, and no military training. Marcus smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had accepted his own fate. Then we'll have to improvise. Dutch nodded. When? Now. And Marcus realized that this would be his last mission. The farm was bigger than Marcus had expected. 3 sheds, a main house, watchtowers, at least 10 security guards. Dutch and the other 11 bikers parked 2 kilometers away. Lily was with them. Marcus had begged her to stay, but she refused. She's my sister. I'm going. They waited until it got dark. Then they moved. Silently. Dutch and 5 bikers went to the main shed. Marcus and the other 4 went to the house. Lily stayed with one of the men hidden in the woods with a radio. Marcus entered from the side, unarmed, just a knife and rage. Inside he found 3 men, 1 asleep, 2 playing cards. Marcus gave them no chance. He moved quickly, silently, lethally. In 30 seconds all 3 were on the floor, unconscious or dead. Marcus didn't check. He went upstairs. He heard voices. One of them was a child's, crying. Marcus opened the door and saw Emma tied to a chair, a man beside her, holding a knife. Come closer and I'll cut her, the man said. Marcus stopped. He raised his hands. You don't need to do that. Yes, it's necessary, because you shouldn't be here. Nobody should be. Why? Because you're selling children? The man smiled. Because we're giving them a better life, wealthy families, education, a future. Lies, Marcus said. You know what they do to them. You know. The man hesitated, and in that second, Marcus moved. He crossed the room. He grabbed the man's wrist He twisted, the knife fell, and Marcus punched, once, twice, until the man collapsed. He untied Emma. She hugged him, trembling. "Is Lily here?" "Okay, I'll take you to her." They went downstairs, but when they got to the room they heard gunshots. Outside, Dutch and the others were fighting, and they were losing. Marcus grabbed Emma and ran. He went out the back door, and he saw Lily running towards him, but behind her, a van, coming fast, straight for her. Marcus didn't think. He threw Emma to the ground and ran. He grabbed Lily and jumped. The van passed, just inches away, and Marcus felt it, a sharp pain in his side. He looked. Blood. Lots of blood. Someone had shot him. Lily screamed. Dutch appeared. He grabbed the girls. "Go, I'll take care of him." But Marcus knew that there was no need to worry, that he was dying. He looked at Lily and Emma, together, safe, and smiled. "Run," he whispered, and they ran. And Marcus closed his eyes, knowing that it had been worth it. Marcus didn't die. Almost, but he didn't die. Dutch dragged him out before the farm exploded. Yes, exploded. Because one of the bikers had decided that burning the place down was the only way to ensure that no one else would suffer there. And he was right. Marcus woke up 3 days later in an illegal hospital. Lily and Emma were by his bedside. Lily was holding his hand. She didn't speak. She just held it, as if letting go would mean losing him again. "Hi," Marcus said, his voice hoarse. Lily sobbed. She said nothing. She just buried her face in his arm. Emma did the same. And Marcus realized that he wasn't just a savior. He belonged to them, and they belonged to him. Dutch came in. "You're an idiot, Reid." "I know, but a brave idiot." Dutch threw an envelope on the bed. "Sullivan's dead. The feds took the rest of the network, and the girls, officially they don't exist. No records, no trace. You're their legal guardian now, if you want." Marcus looked at Lily and Emma. "Do you want to?" Lily nodded. "We don't have anyone else." "Then yes," Marcus said to Dutch, "I want to." 6 months later, Marcus, Lily and Emma were living in a small house outside the city. Lily had gone back to school. Emma still had nightmares. So did Marcus. But they were together. And that was enough. One night, Lily entered Marcus's room. "I never said thank you." "It is not necessary." "Yes, I do." She sat on the edge of the bed. "You could have ignored me. You could have called the police. You could have moved on. But you didn't. You stayed. And because of that, Emma and I are alive." Marcus felt his eyes burning. "You two saved me too." Lily smiled, and for the first time it was a genuine smile. "So we're even." She left. Marcus was left alone. He looked out the window, and he saw Dutch and 2 bikers parking outside. They didn't come to the house. They just stayed there, watching, protecting. Because some promises are never fulfilled, some battles never end. But some victories are worth all the scars. If this story touched you, leave a like now. If you believe that some children can't wait, subscribe. Because the next story is even more intense, and you won't want to miss it. Click on the next video now.